not stormed the night before. The ground around them had been washed out by the rain. I also think you've forgotten that my job revolves around protecting the living. This is a little out of my bounds." Ray stopped whatever notes he'd been taking on his clipboard and tried to be cheeky. "Maybe this is my way of forcing you to be social," he said. Max snorted, because it wasn't exactly outside the scope of what Ray might do. The saying that introverts don't make friends, they only get adopted by extroverts, was an accurate way to describe how their relationship started. Now, in their early 30s, that dynamic hadn't changed. "Considering you know where I live and what time I was coming in today, I'm guessing this isn't a social call." Mack met his friend's eye. "Tell me." Ray let out a sigh that rivaled Mack's. He at least managed to look apologetic before he spoke again. "The almighty Sheriff Boyd told me to reach out," he admitted. "He was with me when I first got on scene and kind of got squirmy when I said I didn't recognize this victim. This is the first murder in Willow Creek since he took over. I think he wants us to wrap this up before anyone else gets word of it." "And why did he want me here?" Max still wasn't getting how the dead one and his one made two. Ray put up his gloved hands in defense. He'd never been a man to be sheepish, but he looked close to it. "He knows about your face thing," he answered. "And before you go throwing rocks, it wasn't me who spilled the beans. I mean, seriously, how many times have I heard you complain to me that you're not some kind of computer or personal database? Why would I purposefully incur that kind of wrath again by blabbing to the sheriff about it?" An old feeling of anger started to kick around. Mack wasn't unused to it. He'd been living alongside that feeling since the day the warehouse burned down, the day that his knack for remembering faces put him in his own personal hell. The anger that was always there, but kept in check by the unending patience he'd inherited from his father. Ray, whose father was often found singing karaoke at the local bar despite it not having a karaoke machine, swore before he made his guess. "I'd say Deputy McCoy spilled the beans," he added. "He's really been sticking with the sheriff lately. Anything he can do to prove he's useful, I'm sure he'd jump at it. He was on shift this morning, so I'm sure if the sheriff mentioned needing to identify a John Doe quick, he threw out your name. Though, let's be honest, almost everyone in town knows about your brain power thing. He could have already found out." Max sucked on his teeth. He looked down at John Doe again. "I wish you'd stop calling it a power," he told his friend. "Some people are just good at remembering things. I just happen to be good at remembering faces." It was true. Mack had a thing about people, specifically remembering their faces. After seeing someone, his mind seemed to save them forever. He saw a face, and it stuck in place. It was one reason he was good at his current job. Being able to do threat analysis for a client was a lot easier when you could bookmark all the people around them. John Doe's face, however, wasn't familiar. It was an odd feeling for Mack, being in Willow Creek and seeing someone he didn't recognize. He'd been born in town, lived in it with zeal until college, and then, with a lot less enthusiasm, had come back to use his family's home as a base of operations, a place he came to when he needed a place to go, as his sister had disapprovingly said many times before. If John Doe was a local, he'd managed to stay beneath the Mack Atwood radar all this time, an impressive but not impossible thing to accomplish. Mack thought out loud now. Blonde hair, dark from the dirt, nose with a crook in it from probably being broken once or twice, some stubble on his face, some freckles, too, and the upper body build of someone who took relative care of themselves by exercising and/or a good diet. Mack shook his head. "I've never seen him before, in person, print, or online. I don't know who he is." It wasn't the news Ray wanted to hear. It wasn't like Mack enjoyed giving it. For Ray to call him to a crime scene had taken a lot for the man, but the new sheriff was known for his brashness and his charm and had no doubt used both to get the medical examiner to call in a civilian. It was probably called a favor, too. Sheriff Boyd seemed to like asking for those. Being the favor himself, Mack had mixed feelings about not being able to come through.